Thanks for joining us. I'm Gabe with Backwoods Pursuit. Today we've got an extra special video for you, and we're going to go over these 4 internal frame hunting backpacks. These are all some fantastic hunting backpacks, and they're all designed to be heavy meat hauling or load hauling backpacks. And so we're going to go over the features that make each of these unique. For this video, we've got the Sitka Mountain Hauler 4000, the Exo K3 4800, the Mr. Ranch Selway 60, and the Blacks Creek Alt X Ultra. Now, I've been testing each of these packs over the last year with light loads, heavy loads, training hikes, scouting, hunting, hauling meat, hauling sand, just about as many situations as I could put them through. So I'm going to give you the information that I've found in testing each of these. Hopefully it's helpful for you in making a decision what's going to be best for your situation. As always, we really do appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button for us. Follow us on our Facebook and Instagram accounts as well. And check out our website, backwoodspursuit.com. We've got reviews on each of these packs, both videos, other videos on each of these packs individually here on the YouTube channel, as well as written reviews that goes into more detail than we're going to in this video on these packs, so we can keep this not too long of a video. Let's go get started. All right, so the first thing I wanted to touch on here is, obviously this is not all of the premium hunting backpack brands out on the market. I know that, and we've just got this sampling of 4 here that we're going to be looking for or looking through, and we do hope to include a bunch of others as we continue to do gear reviews here. But for this video, we've just got these 4, so I wanted to bring you the information that we've gotten from testing each of these, and hope to include more as we go down the road. So let's first look at some of the bag configurations. Now, for me personally, the bag configuration is probably one of the least important features on a pack, because I can make just about any bag configuration work for me. So I'll touch on that real quick before we get into some of the more important details. So for me, if you've got something like the Mr. Ranch Selway 60 here, it's a minimalist style pack. So you really just have the main bag, and then you have 2 small side pockets here, and then a real small lid pocket on the top, and that's about it. So that's going to be your minimalist style. You're going to save some weight on that because you have less pockets, less zippers, that sort of thing. Now, the Exo K3 4800 and the Mr. Ranch, and the Blacks Creek Alt X Ultra have a similar number of pockets. They're a good balance of not too many pockets, but not a minimalist style as far as the pocket compartment goes. And then the Sitka Mountain Hauler 4000 probably has the most pockets of these bags. And so it gives you a little more organization, but it's not excessive on the pockets either. Something like the Blacks Creek here, the nice thing as far as the way that they design their pack systems is that you've got the ability to swap this pack out if you do want one with more pockets, to switch the frame out, and they've got a bunch of different bag configurations with more and less pockets, so you can get whatever works best for you. Similarly to the Mr. Ranch, they've got a bunch of different bags and configurations you can go with that way. And then most of the Exo bags are pretty similar, so you kind of have the primary configuration here on the Exo bags, and so they have a similar number of pockets throughout their pack line. And the Sitka here does not have a detachable bag, so you don't have the ability to swap out that bag if you'd like. So it's a quick rundown on the bags of these. So let's get into the harness and the belt systems and what makes them different here on these packs. All right, so as far as some of the differences in their harnesses, as you can see, I've flipped the packs here around, and you can see there's different sizes, and some of them are preformed, some of them are not so much preformed. And there's different stiffnesses as well within each of the harness systems. So here you've got on the Blacks Creek, this is their Talon frame. You have basically it's all cushioned. They have the 1 layer of high density foam, and it's probably this one along with the Mr. Ranch are a similar width here, with the Blacks Creek being probably just a little bit less of a width than the Mr. Ranch. The Mr. Ranch here is a preformed. You can see it kind of curves like this, and then it really tapers quite a lot as you get down close to here where the strap attaches. Moving over to the Exo, you've got quite a bit wider frame, or I'm sorry, a wider harness strap right here, and it does taper, but not nearly as much as the Mr. Ranch. You can kind of see those side by side. It is preformed, but it's also very flexible. It's not nearly as stiff as something like the Mr. Ranch here, because there's actually a little piece of plastic on the inside on part of this that helps maintain the rigidity of the Mr. Ranch harness here. Now over on the Sitka, this is probably one of the more stiff harness straps here, but it's very much preformed, and there's some rigidity inside that kind of helps maintain the way that strap falls on your shoulder. So it kind of depends on what is the most comfortable for you. The main thing about finding a pack that fits you best is going to be really trying it on and making or finding the one that fits your body the best. Everybody's body is different. There's not necessarily a perfect pack for everybody or one that is best for everybody. It's going to be whatever is best for you and what works best for you, what fits you best and your needs. So that's the harnesses. Next, let's look at the lumbar pads here. So this is where some of these get quite a bit different. So I'm going to grab a couple of these here and show you the differences here. Let's start with the Blacks Creek over here. You can kind of see here on the Blacks Creek where you've got a smaller or not as thick lumbar pad here. So if you put that up next to something like the Exo here, you can see that there's a substantial difference in the thickness of that lumbar pad. There's quite a lot of difference and variance between the two. And then if you say put it up next to something like this Mr. Ranch, it's kind of in between that lumbar pad right here. And then the same with the Sitka. Sitka pack is similar to this Mr. Ranch, but not quite as thick as the Exo, but not as thin as the Blacks Creek. So kind of depends on what is going to be most comfortable for you. For me personally, with the S-curve of my back, I've found that a thicker lumbar pad it does help the comfort for me personally, but that's something you have to experiment with for yourself and find out what fits you best. Alright, so here's a little bit closer look at the lumbar pads here. You can see here this is the Mr. Ranch Selway 60. You've got a fairly substantial lumbar pad, but not oversized as compared to something like this here, this being the Blacks Creek, where you have a little bit of lumbar pad, but it's less than that Mr. Ranch. Moving over to the Exo here, you can see you've got a real substantial lumbar pad. It's super thick, it's the thickest of the bunch. And then moving over to the Sitka, you have kind of similar to that Mr. Ranch, where you have a substantial lumbar pad, but not quite as much as that Exo right there. You can see how much thicker that is, and it just gives you different comfort points. So it just depends on what works best for you and what is the most comfortable for you. So let's look now at these hip belts. So on the hip belts here, you can see this is the Mr. Ranch Guidelight MT frame. You've got a 5-section hip belt here. There's 5 different sections, so you're able to adjust the cant on this. It's one of the design features of that Mr. Ranch hip belt, and that is a super comfortable hip belt, at least it was for me. This one here is one solid piece. This is the Blacks Creek, one solid piece that goes underneath the sewn-in lumbar pad here, and so you've got one layer of high-density foam, so super durable. But again, you've got a little bit smaller lumbar pad right here than some of the others, so again, just depends on what's most comfortable for you. Alright, so here on the Exo you have the redesigned hip belt for the K3 system here. Dual density foam here on the lumbar pad. It makes it for a super comfortable fit. It's real soft here, but then underneath that you have the single layer of the high density foam, and then you can pick back up here on this side of the hip belt, same as the other side. So that is the Exo hip belt. Here you have the Sitka hip belt. You've got a 3-piece. You got one here, then you got the lumbar pad right there, and then of course the other side of the hip belt. As you can see here, they kind of taper a little bit, and that's slightly different than some of the others here, but there's more taper in this than some of the other ones. You do have a dual density foam with this as well. It's very comfortable that way. And so again, you've got a pretty good amount of lumbar support, but not a huge amount. Alright, so let's look at some of the sizes and weights of each of these packs. So let's start with the Sitka Mountain Hauler 4000. This is a 5.75 pound pack as they're shown right here. The Exo Mountain Gear K3 4800 is a 5.5 pound pack, and that's with the K3 titanium frame. And the Mr. Ranch Selway 60 is right at 5 pounds, and the Blacks Creek Altex Ultra is 6.4 pounds, as I've got it here with the Talon frame. If you go to the grip frame, which is the larger frame if you need that. That goes to 7.1 pounds. So that is the weights of each of these. Now for me personally, obviously the weight is just one of the factors. A nice lightweight pack is great, but for me far more important than that is how the pack carries a heavy load and how comfortable the pack is on a daily basis. Now as far as the sizes of each of these, the Sitka here is, and there's a zipper on the inside of the pack where you can have a reduced volume. So at that reduced volume, where 3,700 cubic inches goes up to 4,500 cubic inches if you unzip that and open it up. And that zipper's in the main bag. The K3 4800 is 5,200 cubic inches, just over 5,200 cubic inches, and that's with the lid, of course, on all of these. The Mr. Ranch Sailway 60 here is just under 3,800 cubic inches, and the Black Creek Alt-X Ultra is 6,000 cubic inches. So varying sizes. Of course, the Black Creek here is the largest of the packs, but also the heaviest. The next up is probably, as far as weight, is the Sitka Mountain Hauler, and that's 4,500 cubic inches. Then next up in weight would be the Exo Mountain Gear at 5,200 cubic inches and 5.5 pounds. And the lightest weight, but also the smallest, is Mr. Ranch here at the 5 pounds, but just under 3,800 cubic inches, so the lightest but the smallest. All right, next up, let's look at how you convert each of these into meat hauling mode. They're all just a little bit different, and so we're going to go through each of them. So let's start here with the Mystery Ranch. And so for this pack, let's set that on the side. For this pack, really, it's super simple, probably the easiest of all of these as far as just the number of steps to take. So you just got 4 buckles right there, and right there, and there, and there, and then one real easy buckle right here behind that, and then you peel the bag away from the frame like that, and like that, and I guess you have these 2 lid buckles as well, and then the bag separates from the frame just like that, and so you are all set to go now to strap your meat on your pack. So next, let's look at here the Black Creek. This is Alt-X Ultra here. So to convert the Alt-X Ultra into meat hauling mode, again, super easy. You got 4 buckles there, there, and then also 2 there. And then Black Creek uses a zipper system right here on the side of the pack to go ahead and unzip that side and do that there, and to do that same thing on this side right there with the zipper system. And then you have here on the top, you got to undo the lid right there and right there, and then the bag just completely pulls away from the frame, and so you can go set that aside and get yourself loaded up into meat hauling mode for the Black Creek Alt-X Ultra. So that is that one. On the Exo K3, again, probably another one that is among as simple as any of them here. Again, detach the lid like you would, because you don't want that in the way. Go ahead and take your 4 buckles. You can either go inside the pocket or outside the pocket as far as that one there. Same on this side, detach there and detach there. And then for the Exo K3, you've got a trifold Velcro system right there. So undo the top one, and then right there, and right there. And then that bag separates away from the frame, giving you access to the frame panel. And this is, of course, a crib load panel that I've added to this pack for meat hauling ability. But it's super simple, super quick, especially the K3 system with the trifold. It's much easier than it used to be. So that is the Exo pack. And then as far as the Sitka, on this one, there is no separating the bag from the frame. But to get into meat hauling mode for this guy, you open your bag up here, and then you gotta undo a couple buckles here, and then open up your U-shaped zipper here to get there. Because with the Sitka pack here, the meat essentially goes inside the bag, and then you've got kind of like a crib right here. This crib holds the meat in place, and it's attached directly to the frame, which is really nice. It keeps the load secure to the frame. But the way that works is you go ahead and open up the snow collar right here, and then if you had, say, your quarter of an elk or whatnot, the leg would go up through here. You would strap this, and then it buckles right there and right there. And I go into more detail on how that works in the Sitka pack video. I'll put a card up there for you if you want to check that out. But that's how you convert each of these into meat hauling mode. They're all really super easy. They all work really well that way. Some are just a little bit different than others. So now that we've got these packs all pulled apart, I'm going to go over the differences in the frames between each of these packs. So the Sitka Mountain Hauler here, it has a tubular frame, and it's a tubular aluminum frame. So if I'll pull this back, you can just see a little bit of it right here. It's that orange, there's orange part. So it kind of goes like this. It's a kind of a U-shaped, if you will, but it's a nice sturdy frame. I did, you know, up over 100 pounds with this, and it did just fine for me. So it's a tubular aluminum style frame. The Exo K3 4800. This one, you can see it's shaped as well. Now they went away from an aluminum K3 frame over to the titanium, or back to the titanium. And so the titanium obviously performed super well in the K2, so they went back to that because the aluminum wasn't performing up to the standards that Exo has. So they went back to the titanium frame. But you've got a tubular titanium frame here on this, and it's again a U-shaped here, but it's narrower, you could probably see, than the Sitka here. On the Sitka, you've got a wider frame here versus a narrower, and this tapers down even more so than the Sitka does. Moving over to the Blacks Creek here, you've got a kind of a saddle here to hold the meat up. The buckle's on the top there, and then the bat wings open up here. They expose the frame here. So for the Blacks Creek frame, you've got a frame sheet. The whole thing is, you do have that frame sheet. You have two vertical stays right here, and then you also have two horizontal stays right there and right there. And so it's a fairly rigid frame. It does give you some twisting ability that way, but as far as bend rigid, it's fairly rigid that way. And it's a little bit, as far as width-wise, if we'll put it up next to, say, the Exo here, you do again have a little bit wider frame than the Exo, but it's just an entirely different. This is a rectangular shape. It doesn't taper towards the bottom like the Exo or the Sitka. So just a different style. But it is super durable, super sturdy, and I was able to put a ton of weight. I've actually had a half an elk on this Blacks Creek, and it did just fine. Didn't have any issues whatsoever that way as far as durability or anything else. So those are those two. Let me grab the Mr. Ranch here, and we'll go over this frame. This is the new Guide Lights MT frame from Mr. Ranch, and as you can see, this is different than the other styles. This is carbon fiber, and they are carbon fiber rods here throughout this, and they are wrapped in a webbing here. This is a fabric, a webbing fabric, and so you have probably, of all of these, by a long ways, the most flexible of all the frames. It really bends and flexes a lot, but the rigidity is it's very rigid vertically, but gives you a ton of flexibility side to side, so if you need to move. Both the Exo and the Exo is known for really being super flexible side to side as well, but it's super rigid vertically. So the Exo as well as the Mr. Ranch are both probably the two most flexible as far as that lateral flexibility. They give you the ability to really move well, side to side with the pack. And then on the Sitka here, it does have a bit of flexibility on the lateral side, but not as much as the Mr. Ranch or the Exo. Alright, so let's look briefly at how each of the harnesses adjust on these packs and how they're different. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because I went into more detail on each of the videos on these packs individually, so you can refer back to those via the links in the description if you need to see more about that, about fitting these. But briefly how these are adjusted here. First up on the Mr. Ranch here, you've got basically this whole harness here adjusts up and down this portion, and this part stays the same. So there's a little Velcro piece on the back here, and a plastic stay or a plastic sheet here where you take that and you separate the plastic and then move this up or down according to the size that you need. So that's briefly how you adjust that Mr. Ranch. Over here on the Blacks Creek, you've got a big Velcro piece right here, and then webbing loops, 1, 2, 3, 3 different adjustment options here on the Blacks Creek, so you can move that up or down, and that allows you those adjustment points to make sure the harness gets fit to you properly. On the Sitka here, you unbuckle that, and then you've got a clip behind here that you flip a little lever. I'm going to show you that in more detail on the video. So you flip that, and then once you have that flip, there's Velcro here on the bottom. That opens up, and then there's a little pull tab up here. Move this harness here. You can see it kind of separates. This part stays where it is right now, but this harness moves up and down right here and gives you the adjustability on the black or on the Sitka. And moving over here to the Exo, you've got the harnesses here. You got two separate pieces here that are independent of each other. So it's kind of nice that it allows you, unique from the other ones, it allows you to adjust the cant of the harness. So you can see you pull up, and that's this Velcro right there. So if you need to move that in or out, depending on the width of your shoulders, whatever's going to fit best, it gives you the ability to do that. And then underneath here, you've got about 6 or 7 inches worth of adjustment. And I went into more detail on how to do that on the other videos, of course, but that gives you an idea of how that adjusts. And then that just presses right back in place and you're ready to go. Super easy to adjust. And one thing with the Exo here is you do have different frame heights. And if you take the frame completely out, there's a little piece on the bottom you can flip over to adjust the existing frame height. If you need a little more length, you can lengthen it out, or if you need to shorten it up, depending on what your uses are, you can do that. So that's a rundown of these packs and their differences. Please drop a comment down there and ask us any questions about these. We'll do our best to answer what we can about any of these, and hopefully help you make a decision for yourself. But hopefully that gives you some information on picking a pack that's going to fit you the best, and some of the factors that may affect your uses, the fit for you specifically, and just the overall functionality. So thanks for watching here today. We'll see you next time.